Good morning. Good morning and welcome to the First Unitarian Church of Hobart, where we strive to put love at the center of how we show up in the world. I'm Maggie Reister, your worship assistant this morning. Unitarian Universalism is unambiguously, unapologetically progressive. This church affirms the inherent worth and dignity of all people through anti-racism, anti-oppression, supporting the LGBTQIA+ community, working for reproductive justice, voting rights, and other issues as needed. We seek to build beloved community not only here, but in our surrounding area. Welcome to you, old friends and new. Young and old, you are an essential part of our celebration today. Whether today is your first or your 1000th Sunday in our midst, we are stronger because you are with us. We are one people of many beliefs, many origins, sexualities, and genders. We are all growing, all learning, all loved. And just as you are welcome here. Today, our worship service will be led by our minister, Reverend Cathy Harrington. And since not everyone can attend in person, we are streaming this worship service online, and we extend a special welcome to all who are joining us virtually. Another way that we walk together is by joining together for fun and fellowship. In the interest of time, always, if you have an announcement to share, be sure to send an email to Ashley in the office by Wednesday afternoon. Look for our weekly Spark for more announcements, and if you don't receive the Spark, you can fill out a visitor form in the parish hall. Very specific instructions. Yes. Turkey Drive, we're collecting full Thanksgiving meal bags for families in Hobart. Please place the listed items in double paper bags and bring them by November 22nd. Tiffany, you wanted to give a live announcement about the Harvest Seder, so here you go.
Just take a moment. Thank you. Hi, everybody. Next Sunday, please remember that our Sunday is going to be a little different. Sandy will be leading us in a Seder ritual in the parish hall at 11 o'clock. Then immediately after that, we will all be joining for our annual potluck harvest dinner. We want to be sure that we have enough food, and we want to be sure that we have the full range of what people expect at a harvest meal. So the turkey, the ham, the mashed potatoes, the whole thing. It would be very helpful if you plan to be here, if you plan to bring something, if you can let us know today what it is. Because if we need to provide turkeys, if we need to make sure we have enough mashed potatoes, we need to know that so we can have everything here next week. So please, please see us in the social hall after the service. We will also be glad, if you don't want to cook, we would be glad to accept a donation that we can then use to help buy things to bring or ingredients for things. So please, Harvest Luncheon next week. See us afterwards. Thank you.
Another one?
No, this is just an add-on. Just to add on to the turkey drive, the in-gathering is this Saturday at Pastor Leah's First United Methodist Church. So that's when we will collect the bags and then drop them off to wherever. We're collecting mostly for families in Hobart this year through the school city of Hobart, and then we're also giving whatever is above and beyond what we collect for them to the turkey drive, which wasn't going to collect this year and then decided last minute they were going to collect. So the first 48 bags will go to the school city of Hobart families that are in need, and then the rest will go to the turkey drive that we usually collect for. So that is this Saturday at 1 p.m. at Pastor Leah's church here in Hobart. It's a potluck luncheon with other churches, and everybody is welcome to come. Even if you didn't bring a bag, you're welcome to come and join us. Thanks.
Santa. Join us on Saturday, December 13th for photos with Santa. If that Santa looks curiously like my grandson, you might be right. From the 2:30 to 4, followed by a showing of Elf at 4 o'clock. The concession stand will be open throughout the event. And a Christmas carol. Join us on Sunday, December 21st, my dad's birthday, at 4 p.m. for Grant Fitch's one-man performance of A Christmas Carol with live music and a beer and wine reception before the show. Great way to celebrate the holidays. And friends, don't forget to check your inbox every Saturday for the Spark. It's our new weekly newsletter, also on the website, app, and social media to share announcements. Just use the form in the Spark or email spark@uunwi.org. Stay connected and inspired each week. And I'm supposed to remind you that Spirit Circle and RE will still take place next Sunday. We're bringing the silent auction back, and in your bulletin, the holiday decoration party is December 4th at 5 p.m. It says to be determined. It's not to be determined anymore. It's December 4th at 5 p.m., so write that down. And finally, with the government shutdown, there has been an influx of families requesting lasagnas from the nonprofit Lasagna Love. Michelle is hosting another lasagna bake-off on Black Friday. Oh, darn it. From the peanut gallery. At the First United Methodist Hobart, just around the corner. If you're looking for a way to celebrate Black Friday besides shopping, we are in need of volunteers to help assemble, clean up, and deliver lasagnas to families in need in our area. Let Michelle know if you are interested. What? It's on the same paper.
Me and Tracy are cleaning up leaves after church today, if anyone else wants to help.
Okay. After all of that, now you may greet your neighbor. Please take a moment to greet your neighbors. Really greet them. Say hello to someone you don't know. Ring. Ring the bell. I don't know. Okay. Happy to see all these wonderful souls worshiping and celebrating with us today. Okay, please turn off or silence your devices, and as you do so, allow yourself to enter sacred time together. Take a deep breath, and another, and join in the spirit of reverence.
Join in reciting the words of our affirmation of faith, printed in your order of service or also on the screen. Please join me. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament. Service is its prayer. This is our covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
flaming chalice is the symbol of Unitarian Universalism. It suggests the transformations that take place when we are held within religious community. When we light the chalice in worship, we illuminate a world that we feel called upon to serve with love and a sense of justice. Please join me in lighting our chalice by reading together the words on the screen and in your order of service. We gather this hour as people of faith with joys and sorrows, gifts and needs. We light this beacon of hope, sign of our quest for truth and meaning, in celebration of the life we share together.
New technology here, so, oh, there it is. The opening words this morning are by the Reverend Michelle Collins, not Gretchen Haley this morning. The languages of gratitude. We arrive carrying the familiar ache of not enough. Not enough time, not enough rest, not enough certainty about what comes next. But here in the space between one breath and another, something small and persistent whispers, "You are held." We come from days that felt too ordinary to notice, commutes, meetings, dishes, deadlines, the unremarkable hours that make up most of our living. But buried in the mundane lies small miracles we walk past without seeing. Some of us learn to count blessings on our fingers, others to whisper thanks to ancestors or earth or sky. We carry different languages of gratitude, different ways of recognizing what sustains us. All of them are welcome here. In this center, wrap your tender fingers around that still bright thread of hope. Feel in your heart that still steady hunger for something more. The vision we glimpse every day in the rising sun, across the foothills, the light that spreads across the face of the one we love, the look of knowing all there is to know and still loving life, loving us just as it is, just as we are. For this hour, we come to celebrate, to praise, to give thanks, to refuse to give up, to steady ourselves as keepers of hope, brave builders of this still possible world. Come, let us worship together. Please rise in body or spirit and sing with me our hymn number
1008, our teal hymnal.
Sorry.
When our heart is in a holy place.
Wow, so it's 1008. There it is. Now it's time for our story for all ages, which I'm trying to find on here. I've had it. It's gone. It's a wonderful story called Bagels with Benny. I'm going to have to read it with you because I'm a Luddite, apparently. This is one of my favorite stories, although I have a lot. Bagels from Benny by Aubrey Davis. The sun was just waking up when Benny ran downstairs to Grandpa's bakery. He always helped Grandpa before school. He swept the floor, he dusted the shelves, and he put cookies and cakes on the counter. And he put bagels and buns in the bins. Benny loved to help his grandpa. People bustled in and out of Grandpa's bakery all day long. Some brought bread and some bought cake. Some bought apple strudel. Everybody bought bagels. Grandpa baked the best bagels in town. So crusty outside, Mrs. Silver declared. So soft inside, said Mr. Gold. You put love in your bagels, gushed Mrs. Green. Thank you so much. Grandpa handed Mrs. Green a bag full of bagels. Why thank me? Who else should I thank, said Mrs. Green. Just then the clock struck 8. We'll be late for work. Dear me, ta-da! And they scurried out the door. Benny was puzzled. Why shouldn't Mrs. Green ask you? Why shouldn't Mrs. Green thank you? You make the bagels. And Grandpa lifted Benny up onto the counter and he said, Benny, aren't bagels made with flour? Yes. Doesn't flour come from wheat? Yes, Benny nodded. Where does wheat come from? From the earth, said Benny. Well, who made the earth? God made the earth, replied Benny. And Grandpa smiled. Then thank God for the bagels. It was a good idea, so Benny closed his eyes, said, thank you, God, and then he waited. Did he hear me, Grandpa? You ask difficult questions, Grandpa chuckled. God always hears you, but Benny wasn't so sure. If God had really heard him, why didn't he answer? At school that day, Benny did no work. He didn't read and he didn't write, and at recess he sat alone in the shade of a tall maple tree. What's wrong? Asked his teacher. What's wrong? Asked his friends. I'm thinking, Benny sighed. And Benny was still thinking when he went to bed that night. Maybe God didn't answer because I didn't thank him properly. Maybe there was just another way to thank God for his bagels. And then Benny fell asleep. Early Friday morning, a little sunbeam danced into Benny's room. He had jumped onto his pillow and tickled his eyes until they opened. And Benny's eyes sparkled in the sunlight and suddenly had an idea. He leaped out of bed and ran downstairs. That morning, Benny worked very hard in the bakery. Grandpa, will you pay me for my work? Grandpa raised his eyebrows. Pay you? How much? A big bag of bagels, replied Benny. Why bagels? It's a secret, said Benny. Grandpa laughed and gave Benny a huge bag full of bagels. Benny took them to the synagogue. This is where people speak to God, he thought, and maybe I can thank him here. So he opened the door and peeked inside where it was very dark and still. Oh, maybe I shouldn't come. It's not prayer time. But he took a deep breath and he walked in and he tiptoed past the empty wooden benches and onto a big wooden cupboard, the Holy Ark. His heart pounded. He could barely breathe. Maybe I shouldn't open it. Maybe God won't like it. The Torah is inside, and it's his special book. But Benny took a deep breath and pulled the doors open. King of the universe, he whispered, I brought you some bagels. I know you make them, but you never get to taste them because Grandpa sells them all. So Benny put the bag in the ark and closed the door. Thank you for making the best bagels in town, he whispered, and off he went to school. On Saturday, Benny and Grandpa went into the synagogue. Everybody prayed and sang, but not Benny. His eyes kept looking at the doors of the ark. Had God eaten the bagels, he wondered? And when the ark was opened and the Torah was taken out, Benny looked inside and the bagels were gone. Wow, his heart skipped and his eyes danced. I'm so glad you like them, he whispered. I'll bring you more. Week after week, Benny worked in Grandpa's bakery, and every Friday, Grandpa paid him with bagels. And every Friday, Benny gave bagels to God. Grandpa became curious. What is his grandson doing with all these bagels? So on Friday, he followed Benny to the synagogue. And he waited in the shadows and watched. They're still warm, just the way you like them, murmured Benny as he opened the ark and placed the bagels inside. What are you doing? Grandpa bellowed. Benny spun around. Grandpa, thanking God. You're putting bagels in God's holy ark. But he likes bagels, insisted Benny. Every week he eats them all. Oh, Benny, God doesn't need to eat. He doesn't have a mouth or a stomach or a body. He doesn't? Then where do the bagels go? And Grandpa looked at the ark and he looked at Benny and he stroked his beard and he scratched his head and he said, I don't know. And suddenly the front door creaked open. Grandpa put a finger to his lips and he drew Benny into the shadows. In walked a man in a tattered coat. He took the bag of bagels from the ark. Oh, Lord, I was so hungry, he sobbed. For weeks you fed me. From heaven you sent such beautiful bagels. He tucked the bag under his coat and said, I have good news for both of us. I have found work. And he wiped away his tears. And now I can feed myself, and you can stop baking bagels. And the man smiled quietly as he closed this cupboard, and he said, you helped me, Lord, I promise to help others. And then he left. Benny buried his face in Grandpa's coat, and he wept. God didn't eat my bagels. That poor man took them. Grandpa's eyes grew wide with wonder. Benny, you wanted to thank God. Yes. Well, you did. But how? Didn't you give bagels to a hungry man? Yes. And didn't he promise to help others? Yes. Then you made the world a little better. I did? You did, Grandpa said. And what better thanks could God have? The end.
Thank you, Reverend Cathy. Each week, we share a portion of our Sunday offering with the social justice cause outside our church walls. This month, we are sharing our November Loose Change for the Family Giving Project. Joining us in this act, doesn't make sense. Anyway, it's for the Family Giving Project. Donations in the basket will go to sustaining the mission of our congregation, and donations in the cups goes to support the work of...
So this month we're giving to the
family giving, this month. Okay, all right. Got too many things here. For those not with us in person today, there is an online link for both one-time and regular donations. And can we have four volunteers? for your prayers, your presence, your service, and your gifts. We are truly grateful.
Now, in the center of our service and the center of our lives, let us pause to honor the silences of the world. Let us open our hearts to the place of quiet. Pain. I'd like to begin our time this morning, if you'll join me, with a breath meditation by Sam Trumbone. Let us turn inward now. Feel the rhythm of your breath, in and out, in and out. Find the peace of just being with the flow of the breath, letting go of yesterday and tomorrow. Feel the restorative power of the peace of this moment. A peace large enough to open to the concerns and sorrows that trouble us. A stillness quiet enough to respond to the joys and celebrations that enliven us. Feel the rhythm of your breath. There is safety in the rhythm of the breath. The ebb and flow of life is enacted with each one. Taking in oxygen, sustenance, and letting go of carbon dioxide waste. Taking in the fullness of experience, and letting go of the residue that wants to cling to us. Let us cultivate inner peace and inner safety in this sanctuary dedicated to cultivating the life of the Spirit and dedicated to being a beacon of love for all beings. I invite you now to light a candle of memory or hope, or just sit quietly as the music holds you in a meditative space. This last candle is for all of you at home and those of you who didn't feel comfortable getting up. This candle is for you. And now let us fill the sanctuary with the names of loved ones we hold close in our hearts this morning, some suffering in sorrow and some celebrating in joy. May they feel the warmth of our embrace this morning. The centering hymn is a short one. We'll sing it through twice, number 402 in your gray hymnal. It's called From You I Receive.
As a congregation grows, there's inevitably a time when they begin to outgrow individual sharing of joys and sorrows alone. We are not at that point now, but there is a need for clarity about the sacred time of sharing. Joys and sorrows are a time to share personal joys that you are celebrating so that we can celebrate with you as a community. And it is a time to share personal sorrows that weigh our hearts so that we can support one another in our times of sorrow or grief. This is not a time for announcements or to share a long story. One sentence or two is usually enough to get your point across so that there will be time for others. Our worship service contains multiple threads that have been chosen with care, and the joys and sorrows is meant to be no more than 5 minutes. Sorry. Keep this in mind and be aware that this part of the service excludes our online members and guests. So we respectfully and with great love ask that you honor the sacred time by being as brief as you can so we can honor everyone's time, and so we leave space for the joys and sorrows of others in this room while respecting the people joining us online. for all that was said and unsaid. We lift them up. Thank you for all your sharing. I think it was Marie who first taught me the art of spreading flattery on people, then smearing it around like marmalade on slabs of whole wheat bread. Or how to spray them lightly with a mist of unexpected praise from one of those special nozzles you attach to the end of your garden hose. Walking around with her that year, I watched how she would lubricate the world. Nuns, firemen, nannies, human resource managers, 9-year-old kids in the city playgrounds, and widows selling flags in Central Park. But pretty soon, I started doing it myself, telling this person and that how good they look today, how rare it is to see a job well done, how excellent their taste in clothes. I liked the way even the most crusty and resistant at first would startle under the assault, then start to flourish under the effect. I like to watch the moisture trickle down to their roots and then roll back up again to all 4 corners of the leaf. Why did I ever think that approval was gratuitous? Why did it take me so long to see that the power of sweetness is as great as the power of the river and the sun? If I can't improve the world by scorching it with truth, if I can't conquer it by twisting its arm behind its back, then give me some adjectives like lipstick and gloss. Give me some language like mint and honey for the heart. I will lavish the world with the power of butter. I will force it to feel good about itself. First, I will make it blush. Then I will step back and watch it shine.
So the service this morning, the sermon is called The Gift. As I've said to many people, it's one of my greatest hits. Every minister has a handful of greatest hits. Thanks. So I want to start off with a medieval Jewish story, which some of you probably have heard, but it's certainly a good way to introduce the topic. A rabbi spoke with God about heaven and hell. I will show you heaven. I will show you hell, God said. And they went into a room where there was a large pot of stew in the center of the table. The smell was delicious, and around the table sat people who were famished and desperate. They were all holding spoons with really long handles, and one of their hands was tied behind their backs. The spoon was longer than their arms, so they could not get the stew into their mouths. And so that was their eternity, smelling delicious food and not being able to eat it. And he said, now, God said, I will show you heaven. And they went into an identical room where the stew was in the middle and the people were sitting all around, and they had the long spoons. But the difference was, and they were nourished and happy, they were feeding each other. They had learned to feed one another. So that's that story. So I'm here to tell you that giving and receiving are the same. They're 2 sides of a coin. Christianity says it's more blessed to give than receive. I say no, it's not. Buddhism says enlightened beings are magnanimous givers, bestowing what they have with equanimity, without regret, without hoping for reward. Hinduism also, he who liberally gives goes straight to the gods. And Islam, those who act kindly in this world will have kindness. So they all exalt giving, but Jesus talked about receiving when he accepted the foot washing. He asked his disciples to wash his feet. and they were horrified. So we all know, we love to give. It's as natural as breathing. So when babies are born, they're completely selfish, but then there comes that one time, that moment where they recognize the magic of giving, and they're eating Cheerios or whatever it is they're eating when there's slobber on it, and they offer it to you. We've all had that experience. It's lovely. Giving is born of an unconditional love, and it becomes a mutual exchange of that love. My father taught me one day, as I was I wasn't even a teenager yet, I was struggling because someone had given me a compliment, and I didn't know what to say. You negate it. Oh, no, I'm not, And he just said, all you have to do is say thank you. Even now, though, I still forget that, and sometimes I have to think about my dad. So life is the great teacher. You see some strawberries on the order of service, which Ashley picked. They're beautiful. So many, many years ago, I lived on a farm in South Carolina with my young family. The farm had formerly been owned by a Mennonite family, and it came fully equipped with 10,000 chickens. I'll never forget when I went to go look at the farm, Mrs. Hirschberger was showing me the chicken houses and explaining the procedure they followed for picking up the eggs. She told me they laid an average of 10,000 eggs a day, and I looked at her with stunned amazement and asked her how often did they do that. She said every day, including Christmas. I couldn't fathom this way of life. And so I went back to work. I was a hairdresser at the time, and I was telling my clients, all excited, my coworkers, about the farm and the chicken houses. And my client looked at me and she said, oh, are they layers? And I said, oh, no, they're in rows. I'm just a damn Yankee in the South, and here I am. I never lived that one down. So out of sheer determination on this farm, I decided to become a real country girl, and I took up gardening, baking, quilting, canning, everything. I thought Southerners were the most generous people I'd ever met, and I was moved by their warmth and kindness. I took a master gardener class, and I raised almost everything imaginable. We had 3 horses and a herd of goats that literally charged me every time I went out of the house because I made the mistake of giving them stale cereal one day. And we had a basset hound who had developed a taste for raw vegetables. And he began stealing potatoes from my basket in the kitchen, and then he would sneak up behind me while I was picking vegetables in my garden and steal a muzzle full of green beans. And one day he was yanking sugar snap peas off the vines. And he ate my first ripe tomato one summer, and he looked really funny when he came up from the bottom fields with a zucchini dangling from his mouth like a W.C. Fields cigar. But fortunately, he didn't like strawberries. I had a strawberry bed that was the envy of everybody. It's not easy to grow strawberries in South Carolina. The weeding is an endless job, and the delicate plants take 2 years to produce. But it paid off, and just a few short weeks, we would have strawberries, and I would make pound cakes because I had an endless supply of fresh eggs. They were gorgeous. And I would make strawberry shortcake with the pound cake. Anyway, so here's what happened. So my son's like, when he moved to Alaska, he said, he had some tomatoes shipped up to Alaska from the South. And he told his girlfriend, don't give this tomato to anybody who you wouldn't donate a kidney to. And that's the way I felt about my strawberries. So I had a client whose daughter was getting married, and she had mentioned that she wished she had some small, sweet strawberries. All she could find were the big ones that came from California. So I decided to surprise her the Saturday morning of the bridesmaids' breakfast with a basket of my treasured strawberries. So I got up really early in the morning to pick strawberries all bent over. Took me about an hour, and I had a basket, all, just perfect display. And I was excited to give her these, and was really disappointed when she refused to accept my gift. She insisted on paying me, and she left $1 bills on my station as she left. And I couldn't believe that she thought I spent an hour picking strawberries, stooped over in the morning dew for $3 lousy bucks. I was insulted and I was hurt. She hurt my feelings. It wasn't worth doing for $3. It was only worth doing for a thank you. And so, if that's the only thing you remember is Cathy's strawberries from this gift, from this sermon, that's fine. That's really what I wanted you to remember. But it taught me a valuable lesson. I remembered all the times that people would wouldn't allow me to pay for lunch, and I would insist on paying them back. And I was robbing them of the joy of giving. And so, why is it so hard? I don't understand why it's so hard for us. But can you think of a time when someone robbed you of a pleasure of a gift? When a gift is received graciously, there's nothing as wonderful as that. So I want to tell you another story, because I don't want you to have to stay here for so long. I was working in seminary with a hospice program, and I went to visit the bedside of a dying woman. She was scared. She was frightened. And as we talked, I gently massaged her fragile and aching feet with lotion, and I felt her to begin to relax and felt a peaceful presence in the room. And it takes humility to receive that kind of gesture. As I was reminded also of the foot washing in the Gospel of John. So the ultimate commandment that Jesus told us was to love one another as I have loved you. And he invited the disciples he wanted to wash their feet. And they were horrified. And so he taught them that it's important that they receive the gift. So I don't remember, I think I told you a story about the Faithful Full Street Ministry in San Francisco. So we learned this the hard way in San Francisco. It's a whole lot easier to stand on the side of the food line passing out food to people who are hungry than it is to walk through the food line and accept that gift. It feels good, you know, we're giving, it's charity. There's one rabbi put it, it's about giving someone an opportunity to do a mitzvah. When we do good things, it's a mitzvah. So when you receive from somebody, you're giving them the opportunity to do a mitzvah. So the problem is if we are only doing the giving, we miss the opportunity to experience the other side of the coin. I was really amazed at the generosity of people who were unsheltered in the streets of the Tenderloin of San Francisco. There's a real generosity of spirit. And it also found that also in Nicaragua when we lived in the barrios for 10 days at a time. The generosity that came from some depth, that they had so little to give and yet they offered it. So I have a story to share with you about an experience I had in Berkeley at the laundromat. I was in seminary in Berkeley, California, and I was in the laundromat standing in front of the change machine with a $10 bill. And you put the $10 in, and then all these coins come spilling down. And there was a man sitting next to me who was in the same process on a machine, and he was smelling pretty grungy, smelled really strongly of alcohol, and I suspected he might be living on the streets. I looked over at him as his quarters came ka-ching, ka-ching down with that sound of a slot machine. And I said in my best South Carolina accent, which I use when it's convenient, feels kind of like going to Vegas, don't it? And he turned and smiled at me and he said, yeah, let's go. I grabbed my coins and headed to the other end of the laundromat to finish my sorting. And a few minutes later, I saw him coming towards me. And I thought, oh, gosh, I got myself in trouble again. I didn't know what he wanted, but he was standing right there and he said to me, I hope you don't mind me saying this, but you have the most beautiful long legs. I just wanted you to know that. Please don't take it wrong. I was caught by surprise and a little more than embarrassed, and I said, quick thank you, and went back to my laundry. The owner of the laundromat was nearby working, and he glared sternly at the man as he scurried out the door. I was really kind of grateful that the owner was there, because I didn't want to be unkind to the man, but I also thought, well, that's kind of nice. At least the jazzercise is paying off, right? So about 30 minutes later, when my clothes were in the dryer, and I was studying something for school, and I looked up, and there he came again. This time I was worried. What had I started? I didn't want to hurt him. And to my surprise, he had an expensive chocolate bar that he had bought for me. And he said, I want you to have this. Please accept my gift. And my mind raced with all those thoughts. He shouldn't have spent his money. And how can I accept this? You know, it was like, and then I remembered the strawberries. And I thought, okay, thank you. Thank you so much. By this time, the owner of the laundromat had come forward and rushed to rescue me, and the man's words could be heard as he was turning to leave. And he said, I'm leaving. I just don't get to do that anymore. I don't get to experience the joy of giving anymore, right? That's what he meant. And I thought about it later, and I thought it must have been a rare experience for someone to share a laugh with him, to notice him as a human being, not just a smelly bum. And can you imagine how awful it must be to be unable to give to others? That man made my day, and I ate that chocolate bar. It was really good. So returning back to the story that I started with, of the Jewish people in heaven enjoying stew together, the gift of giving requires the gift of receiving. When it's done mutually, we truly do find heaven. We can move mountains. This, I think, is the kingdom of God that Jesus spoke of over 2,000 years ago. It's a mutual exchange of grace. So the act of giving requires the willingness on someone's part to receive. And giving and receiving make love flow. It's a balancing act. It's a dance. It's a lesson in humility. Giving and receiving is love on both sides. And with all of these, life is a miracle and life is a gift. So we're beginning into the season of giving and generosity, and I invite you to participate willingly and fully in this miracle of life and love, and learn to accept with grace our roles in that intricate dance of both giving and receiving. It is a dance, and it is a miracle in both the giving and receiving. So please rise in body or spirit and join me in singing hymn number 311, Let It Be a Dance.
Let it be a dance with you.
I invite you now to join me in reciting the words on the screen and in your order of service to accompany our extinguishing of the chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Closing words this morning are by Joel Miller, Reverend Joel Miller. Let our lives be a prayer that waters dry souls. Man's broken hearts refuses to be terrorized, seeks this world's beauty and carries us through its storms. Remember, you are blessed. You are a blessing. And above all, you are not alone. You are never alone. So be it. Blessed be. And let the church say amen. Amen. Amen.
Be